What up, you filthy animals? JJ back here this time to give you a free play for Tuesday, May 28th. It's going to be the Twins versus the Brewers. Martin Perez versus Zach Davies. Seeing the line right now, Twins minus 134. Total is 9.5. Game will be played at 8:10 Eastern. As you can see, I'm dressed all nice for the holiday in my polo, which I stole from Ralph Lauren. I'm just kidding. I didn't steal it. It fell off the truck just like all the others that I have. All right, so we grab a loss with the most recent video, over 9 runs from Sunday Night Baseball, Braves Cardinals. Brings the channel to 31-16 in MLB. It was our first loss in Sunday Night Baseball, so cue the tiny violin. I'm happy to be fully back from Memorial Day weekend festivities. It was basically just a lot of barbecue hopping. Hopping from place to place, some legitimate OG shit. Just running from party to party over the last few days, showing face and drinking as much wine as possible. I'm just kidding. I don't drink wine. I'm a male. My drink of choice is actually Mike's Hard Lemonades. The real alpha type shit. That's what I drink. I mean, I don't know what you alphas are drinking. Probably gay ass beer or some shit like that, or Jameson. All the fucking alphas drink Jameson now. Seriously, though, I hope you all enjoyed your extended weekend with your friends and family and did not bury yourself in gambling debt. Speaking of losing lots, I wanted to answer this question as it is one I often get from many. What do I do if the losses are piling up for myself? You'd be surprised how often people message me with this particular question. So I wanted to address it on here because I assume it might be on most of your minds. Look, if you're someone who recently has been getting a full fist up your ass from the sports books and you're wondering what's the best approach for me during these cold depressions? Well, the obvious answer is just double your units and chase like a motherfucker. I mean, isn't that what everyone does? LOL. All right, so here's the truthful deal. If you're someone who's been losing your shirt, the kids' tuition, selling your wife's purses, what you need to actually be doing is betting less. And I don't mean this like take an entire break off or join Gamblers Anonymous. I mean like limit your plays to legitimate 1 per day. I'll give you an example. Let's say you bet 3 games per day. I know you sick fucks bet more than 3 games per day, but let's just walk down this path. You go 1 and 2 for 3 straight days, dropping 3 units without the vig. And day 4, you actually go 0 and 3, dropping 3 more units. So now you're over 6 units of a loss, if you include vig, almost 6.5 units or more than 6.5 units. Over the last 4 days. This is typically where the wheels begin to fall off. You'll typically refund your account at that point because most people don't keep enough funds in their account to sustain that type of loss. And the next move you're going to make is going to be depositing more money than you're comfortable losing, which is another mistake. And you'll start making like parlays, or like maybe you'll start betting a few underdogs. Maybe you'll even parlay underdogs together that you wouldn't usually do. In your mind, you're thinking I'm 1 3-team parlay away from getting all my losses back, and I'm 1 4-team parlay away from being back on top. And look, there will be the occasions where you get bailed out with this method. Maybe you bet 10 times your normal bet size, which makes up for the 9 straight losses you had. And sometimes you'll get bailed out and you'll win. You'll be thinking, subconsciously in the back of your mind, you always have this plan B for the next time this happens. The problem is that we both know that long term, that type of plan is not lucrative. It's not true, and it's not going to help you, again, in the long run. As someone in myself who's been in all shoes here, I'll tell you the true best way to get through coolers. In the hypothetical I drew up for you with the 4 straight losing days, where day 4 was the 0 and 3 day, day 5 needs to become an off day, an automatic off day. I don't care how much of a surefire bet you want to make. I know this is like common with people. When they're like losing a bit, they start like regretting the bets they didn't make that they knew would have won. Like this is like common practice, like as if there's not going to be more bets the following day that are just like that, or the next day or the next week. Day 5 becomes an automatic off day. You guys are going to often see this from me on Twitter. If I have a few off days in a row, I take a day off, take a breather. This is by design. It's not random that I do that. You see, regardless of how much edge you have, at some point the variance catches up to you throughout streaks. Give you an example, although it's a bit extreme. You take a typical dice, a 6-sided dice. Just to be clear on the 6-sided, because sometimes you Dungeons and Dragons invalids might think I mean a 20-sided dice and get all rock hard. 6-sided dice, and your goal was to not roll 1s and 2s. Okay, Ones and twos would be losses. Threes, fours, fives, and sixes would be wins. You roll the dice 1,000 times. Don't you think it's safe to assume, at minimum, there's going to be 5, even 10 times in a row, maybe even higher, where you roll a 1 or a 2 before you roll a 3, 4, 5, or 6 in a row? And think about it, guys. There's a 66% chance there that you're going to roll a 3, 4, 5, or 6. Over the course of thousands of rolls, or 1,000 rolls, even more, it's going to happen. These 1,000 rolls are your bets throughout the year. I mean, it's going to happen. Now, most cappers would be plenty happy with 55%. Needless to say, even the guys who hit over 60% lose 10, 15 games in a row. You are absolutely no different. Good luck, bad luck, it comes in droves. This is the variance, okay? Your best bet in those situations, specifically the bad luck ones, take a deep breath, take the day off. When you return, after you return, you make only one bet. You keep doing this until you win one game. Okay, I know it's hard. I know it's like, oh, but I have all these games that I like. Pick your favorite one. I don't give a shit. Pick your favorite one game. When you win that one game, whatever it is, if it's the next day, if it's the day after, if it's the day after that, you can then bet 2 games the day after. If you go 1-1, you bet 2 games again. If you go 0-2, you go right back to 1 game. It's not until you go 2-0 that you can bet 3 games. Now, this is something I follow. It's not always tied to 3 games specifically, as I do bet up to 5 games per day that I find favorable. But keep in mind, this works for me. It keeps me at a tilt. It keeps my bankroll where it needs to be, specifically during coolers. A few thin losing days is all right. A lot of thick losing days are not. But you need to expect this is going to happen from time to time. You see, if you're rolling off wins, 7, 8, 9 in a row. Look, anybody can steer the ship when they're winning. Okay, anybody can. I mean, anybody can pick a few winners over the course of 10, 15, 30, 40, 50 games, have a good winning percentage. Long term, though, you need to be able to expect that losing streaks will come, and you need to be able to handle yourself accordingly. Don't be chasing nonsense. Take a deep breath. Take a step backward. 1 step back to make 2 steps forward. I know it's shit you learn in like grammar school, but it applies here. When you're losing, bet less until that ship has corrected its course. Long term, you'll be far better off, not only mentally, but financially. All right, on to the play here. Hope you found that little briefing helpful. I mean, look, you don't have to listen to it. You can do whatever you want if you are God at this already. But I could just tell you that type of shit works for me. What most people don't realize, and this becomes like the elephant in the room with sports betting. There's a lot of things that become the elephant in the room with sports betting talk. But the human element, the psychological piece to losing and how to handle it properly and how to progress forward through it, it's not something a lot of people bring up and talk about and how to approach it. I could do a separate video dedicated to that if you'd like. Obviously, I gave you a little short nuance there. But there's obviously more to it. But look, I hope you found it helpful. I know I went off a little bit there, a little longer than I would have liked to, but shit happens. But either way, here is the reason why you came here, which is for the play. Now, for me, this is a pretty easy call. It's right in my wheelhouse, as these are 2 pitchers who are games that I've capped on this channel and on my Twitter before. The play here will be the Minnesota Twins minus 135. Now, I know many of you have been following this Twins winning streak religiously. While they beat up on the dog shit teams like the White Sox, the Mariners, the Angels, the Tigers, and the Blue Jays, while it's not their fault who they've played, the truth is, if you're looking for a doom and gloom thing to say about their winning streak, it's that it's been against not very good teams. Well, now a good team in the Brewers comes to town, and the question becomes, has the market now over-adjusted to the Twins' winning ways? My answer is, I don't believe they fully have. Now, while the Twins squandered the game late tonight, I think it actually plays to our favor here. The Brewers threw their entire bullpen into the game, including Josh Hader for 2 innings. Before the game tonight, though, the Twins were on a 6-game winning streak. They only lost 2 of their last 12. In this match, they have Martin Perez, who I stated in other videos a while back. He's a whole other pitcher this year. He's introduced a cutter, which has been an absolute money pitch for him, and he's dumped his slider, which was a practical meatball in previous years. Needless to say, he has been rock solid, and his advanced numbers at least somewhat back him up. Speaking of advanced numbers, Zach Davies is pitching for the Brew Crew tomorrow night. With his small stature and pedophile-looking beard, he actually looks like he could be the Monopoly guy's son. Looks aside, he's had a solid year thus far, looking at his ERA, and quite frankly, this guy's had quite good fortune come his way. I'm not talking good fortune like he won like a few $2 scratch-offs. Like, this guy has legitimately hit a few pick fours this year. I've said this before on these videos, that Zach Davies' advanced numbers used to be triple what his ERA was. With his last poor start, now they're only double, which is still dreadful. The guy legitimately must be a walking magnet for bird shit with how lucky he's been. 82% stranded runner rate, 4.82 FIP, 4.99 Sierra, only 6 Ks per 9, opponent batting average at 280, ground ball to fly ball rate of only 1.1 despite being a ground ball pitcher who throws 64% sinkers. Could he get lucky here and have his hits find gloves or induce weak contact? Sure, of course. But man, this is a juicy price here to back Perez with Minnesota at home. I don't need to talk about Minnesota's bats. As recently, they're seeing the ball out of the pitcher's arm as if it's a beach ball. I'm pretty sure right now they'd be able to find grass with a wiffle ball bat. Now Martin Perez has been good thus far, but he's been even better at home. He's about equally as good versus righties and lefties as it relates to power. And I like him to keep the Twins in this one with the Twins' ability to grab runs against some runs against Davies. I know Davies has been tough, but again, his advanced numbers just really aren't there. The Brewers are loaded with bats themselves, so on any day they can pile on runs. But this will be the first time they're seeing this version of Martin Perez. Oh no, I like the price here at minus 135, so I'm going to be backing the Twins here. As for where this line goes, this is a tough one to assume. I know the so-called smart money may roll in on the Brew Crew here. But at this point, the drugs would have to be pretty damn good for you to be fading the Twins in this specific spot, win or lose. It took quite a climb for the Brewers to come out of a hole tonight. And tomorrow, with Perez, we're going to have a pitching advantage. Getting a short price here with a better pitcher and far hotter team, regardless of where this line goes, I like 135. I wouldn't go much higher than this. I wouldn't go to minus 145. But minus 135 I'd like. You may be able to sit on this and get a better price. As again, I would expect Brewers, sharp Brewers money came in tonight for the game, so that might happen again. But just keep in mind, I do like Perez here at this price at minus 135. I typically do not go with favorites of this price variety. This is basically as high as I go, so most certainly don't get used to this, folks. So again, just to confirm, that is Twins minus 135 versus the Brewers, Martin Perez versus Zach Davies. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, as always, big thumbs up. If you did not enjoy the video, I hope a meteor hits your house. As always, please drop comments below. Tell me who you're betting, what you thought of the video, even if you just want to say hello. Check out my Twitter for some of my other plays. I'll post some tennis as well tomorrow, maybe even add a baseball. So check me out there. That's @sportswithfacts. I modified the Twitter handle so that it's all synced up. I wish you the best of luck with all your plays tomorrow. But other than that, I will be back tomorrow, so I will catch you all then.